What's up, everybody? It's your boy Cam Farmer here, and I want to say welcome back to another episode of Respectfully. This is our 13th episode, but for those of you that are just joining us, this is our first episode on YouTube. So we're grateful and thankful that you guys are able to be a part of this. We're going to talk about two things. We're going to talk about Georgia Bulldog football, and we're going to talk about the Los Angeles Clippers. And as a matter of fact, uh, we're gonna talk about the Clippers first because if anybody knows me, they know that I'm sorry. Well, I'm not sorry literally. I'm sorry figuratively. As a matter of fact, when this man is fully healthy, when Kawhi Leonard is fully healthy, when Paul George is fully healthy, when the team is consistent, when the team plays winning basketball, when the Clippers are all of those things and more, they are without a doubt a top 5 team in the league, offensively and defensively. But it just comes down to one of the things that I said: when they're fully healthy, when they're available, when Kawhi and Paul George are available, and when they're able to play winning basketball, this team is a force to be reckoned with. This is going to be Kawhi Leonard and Paul George's 5th NBA season together. 5th. And they have one conference finals to show for it. As a Clippers fan, well, let me backtrack. As a basketball fan, I'm irritated because you know how great Paul George is and you know how great Kawhi Leonard is, especially when both of them are fully healthy and they're playing their best basketball. As a Clippers fan, I'm angry. I really am. Not like I want to punch a wall angry, but like angry, because this is a team that was the number one favorite, the favorite going into the 2019 NBA season. This was the team that was considered the favorite to win it all against the likes of the Milwaukee Bucks, Boston Celtics, the Los Angeles Lakers. This was a top 3 team in the NBA coming into the 2019 NBA season. Now, fast forward into the 2023 NBA season, going into that rather. This is they're on paper and statistically, I can literally name 5 teams that are better than this Clippers team. I can. And that's not to say that the Clippers aren't good. Anybody who knows basketball knows that the Clippers are a good team. But this franchise is, in recent memory, probably spanning back to the Lob City days, with CP3, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan, JJ Redick, the Lob City days. Injuries. Injuries have plagued this franchise. The Clippers, historically, as you know, from 2010 and beyond, the Clippers have been phenomenal in the regular season. And I know a lot of Lakers fans give Clippers fans slack for the lack of championships. Or I'm sorry, not the lack of championships. For the 0 championships that the Clippers have won. But I will say this about the Clippers, though. They have the Lakers number. And from 2019 to right now, I know nobody cares about the regular season. I know the regular season isn't taken serious as the postseason, as the playoffs are. But when you're on a team, I remember, let's talk about a personal anecdote. When I was a junior in college, That was when Kawhi Leonard was out for the entire year when he tore his ACL. The Lakers would always have the better team than the Clippers because on the Lakers, you would have 2 out of 3 stars playing against the Clippers. You would have LeBron and AD. You would have different combinations. LeBron and AD, LeBron and Russ, AD and Russ, different combinations. Sometimes all 3 of them on the same floor. And they won and they beat the Clippers 0 times. The last time the Lakers actually beat the Clippers in a regular season game, and the reason why I say a regular season game is because the Lakers and the Clippers in the Kawhi, PG, LeBron, AD era, they've never met in the playoffs. The last time the Lakers beat the Clippers in a regular season game was literally a week before the season ended because of the coronavirus. That was 3 years ago, almost 4. So I say all that to say this. The Clippers must come with a different level of approach when it comes to the regular season. Do I believe that the NBA policy, do I believe that, I'm sorry, let me rephrase. Do I believe that the Kawhi Leonard and Paul George should be the poster boys of the NBA load management policy? No, I do not. Because, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a fan and I'm not being biased, and I mean this because I actually, kind of do all of my research instead of just, making assumptions. I do believe that whenever Kawhi Leonard was load managing, the status would come up underneath on their Gamecast on ESPN where it had Kawhi Leonard load management in the Clippers. I am willing to say that I don't think that it was just strictly Kawhi saying, I don't want to play basketball. I don't feel like playing tonight. I'm willing to say that. I am. Because there are a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that we don't necessarily know what's going on. But on the other hand, if it's something more, why doesn't the Clippers just list, hey, Kawhi's out, personal reasons. Kawhi Leonard, illness. Kawhi Leonard, injury, right ankle injury or something, right leg injury rehab or something, instead of load managing. Because when it's listed as load managing, that is insisting that, okay, Kawhi Leonard is fully healthy, and despite the fact that a lot of people paid a lot of good money to watch him play, he's gonna sit out so that so that the Clippers can manage his load. Need I remind you, Kawhi Leonard isn't the only scorer. Yes, Kawhi Leonard provides 85 to 90% of the opposing team's offense. But at the same time, a lot of people pay good money to see these dudes. So I am anticipating, barring any injuries, and no load management, I anticipate that Kawhi Leonard play all 82 games of the season. Will it happen? History has proven that it probably won't. Not to say that I wish that it won't happen. Not to say that I wish he won't play 82 games. I want him to play 82 games. I want Paul George to play 82 games. But do I think that will happen? No. But going back to them winning the championship, I do believe that when they're fully healthy and they're at their best and they're playing winning basketball, Coach Ty Lue, I dare say that this season, if the Clippers do not get it done, or if they do not at least get to the conference finals, I dare say that this may be Ty Lue's last year coaching the Los Angeles Clippers. I dare say that. Do I want Ty Lue to keep coaching the Los Angeles Clippers? Yes, I do. At the same time, I am never opposed to anybody getting their bag, especially if they deserve it. Ty Lue deserves his bag, bro. And if another team is going to offer him more money, I bet you he'll take it. So I say all that to say this. I say all this to say this. The Clippers must come with a different approach. The Clippers, now I'm not saying that Kawhi Leonard and Paul George will willfully sit out because they don't feel like playing. No, because I do believe that there are things, not I believe, there are things that go on behind the scene and they keep things in house. But at the same time, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George combined have played only 118 regular season games out of the 308 total regular season games spanning back to 2019. Part of that, a large portion of that, was because of Kawhi Leonard's ACL injury. But at the same time, there's no excuse. That's 38% of 308 regular season games in total. That's 38%. They haven't even played half of the games together. They haven't. And like I said, as a basketball fan, it's frustrating. As a Clippers fan, it's frustrating. Do you know how frustrating it was when they were in the first round series against the Phoenix Suns last year? And I get a notification on my phone from Woj saying, breaking news, Kawhi Leonard is out. Game 3. Dude, what? That's frustrating. So I as a fan, but also as an unbiased fan, you can't sleep on all of the other teams in the West. You still have the defending champions, the Denver Nuggets. And if anybody has the Clippers number, it is the Denver Nuggets. To my recollection, I do believe that the Denver Nuggets have only, and since the bubble, since Christmas Day, 2021, when the Clippers went to Denver, since then, the Denver Nuggets have only lost 2 games against the Clippers. Why are there balloons? Why? What just happened? What just happened, bro? Why are there balloons? But anyway, this is on Riverside. I don't know why there were balloons that came up. But anyways, I do expect the Clippers, especially Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, to be available. I expect them to be available. I expect them to compete at a high level and to play meaningful basketball games and play even the games that aren't really meaningful. I still expect them to play because Steve Ballmer must do all that he can to retain Kawhi Leonard and Paul George for one particular reason. At the start of next NBA season, they're moving into their new arena, the Intuit Dome. And you need stars to put butts in the chairs. And the more butts you put in chairs, the more money it brings to your franchise. And the more money you have with your franchise, the more you're able to retain stars. In particular, Terrence Mann. So, with that being said, on to other news. If you ever wonder why the Georgia Bulldogs football team are more than likely going to three-peat again, more than likely, look no further than their dominant performance over the Kentucky Wildcats from Saturday evening. Georgia scored on all 5 of their first 5 drives. First 6 drives. 4 of which were touchdowns, 2 of which were field goals. Carson Beck in the first drive threw a touchdown to Marcus Rosemy-Jackson in a span of 2 minutes on 4 for 4, completing all 4 of his passes on 64 yards. Then Carson Beck, in his first 11 attempts, completed all 11 of his passes. threw for 146 yards, and at the same time, threw another touchdown in a span of under 4 minutes. I don't think people actually understand. The Georgia Bulldogs may not be the flashiest team in the in Division I in terms of the Power 5 conferences. They may not have a quarterback throwing 6-7 touchdowns a game. But this team could arguably be the most loaded team in the SEC. I'm sorry. I'm being too generous. In all of Division One. I genuinely mean that. When you have rushers, when you have running backs, when you have receivers, Rara Thomas, Rosemy Jackson, love it. When you have tight ends such as Brock Bowers, it's Brocktober, Oscar Delp. When you have when you have offensive weapons, and when you have a reliable offensive line, I ain't even mentioned Lad McConkey. I ain't even mentioned their defensive unit, led by Malachi Starks and Javon Bullard and Jamon Dumas Johnson. Chaz Chambliss had a great game. When you have a team such as this, it's kind of, you don't even have to be a Georgia fan to realize that it's kind of hard to bet against these people. It's very hard to do that. And the reality is, it's hard to win just as much as it's hard to bet against the Kirby Smarts and the Nick Sabans. It's just as hard to win in the SEC, period. It's hard to do that. Within their win, they eliminated the head of the snake in Ray Davis, who is Division I's fourth leading running back up until Saturday. I haven't checked his stats since the game, but before the game, he had 594 rushing yards. He's the fourth in the nation for that. They held him to 15 carries and 59 yards. Which brings me to my point about the defense. Quality over quantity. To my recollection, Kentucky's defense had 60 total tackles. Georgia's defense had 38. But here's where the quality over quantity comes into play. The reason why Kentucky had so many tackles was because Georgia was having a lot of first downs. They had a lot of first downs that game and third down conversions. Why? Because Georgia's offense, bro. Their rushing attack, Dejon Edwards, Kendall Milton. Oh my goodness. Dylan Bell. And we still have reliable running backs that are injured. They're injured. But the quality is, and Kentucky having 60 total tackles to Georgia's 38, that's the quantity. But the quality was that Georgia was able to, those tackles, Georgia was able to stop their receiving corps, and more specifically, they were able to hold Devin Leary, Kentucky's quarterback, and Ray Davis. If you ever wonder why Georgia is more than likely to three-peat, look no further than this team and their performance. And like I said, the reality is no win is guaranteed. Georgia, yes, Georgia beat Kentucky. That's great. But now they're going to Vanderbilt. They're going to Nashville on Saturday. No, that win is not guaranteed. And I think they know that. I think. I know they know that. I know they do. Because every win in the SEC is a win in and of itself. Yes, sure, it's dope to have a win. But to have a win over the Floridas, over over the Alabamas, over the Ole Misses, over the LSUs, more specifically, to have a win on the road, need I remind you, Auburn proves that point in and of itself. Georgia's game at Auburn 2 weeks ago, that was not a guarantee. Jordan Hare Stadium, my God, that's all I got to say. No win is guaranteed in the SEC. But if Georgia plays the way that they play, if they continue to play, even if they lose a game, God forbid, even if they lose a game, one game, if Georgia continues to have the encore performance from the offensive line, if Carson Beck continues to have and orchestrate the electric start that was present at Sanford on Saturday, if he continues to have those types of starts, if the defensive line makes some minor tweaks, if their defensive unit, we know Malachi Starks is gonna get his, we know Bullard's gonna get his, we know Dumas Johnson's gonna get his, we know Chandler's gonna get. If this team continues to be consistent, knowing that no win is guaranteed, I don't really see a team beating Georgia. Yes, I'm talking about the Alabamas. I'm talking about the LSUs. I'm talking about the Ole Misses. I'm talking about the Ohio States. I'm talking about the Michigans. Because unlike every conference, the SEC had at least 6 teams in the top 25. At least 6 teams. At least. It's not like conference, like when you think about the Big 10, there are only 2 teams that are talked about so often, Michigan and Ohio State. You can kind of throw in Penn State a little bit, but it's just Michigan and Ohio State. Big 12. Who is it? Texas and Oklahoma. Pac-12, USC, Utah. I mean, then you had Colorado. ACC. Up until Trevor Lawrence's departure, Clemson was always the favorite to come out of every single game. Even when you had DJ Uiagalelei. Very simple. Now you got Florida State. Now you got North Carolina. And by the way, North Carolina and Florida State will meet each other in the ACC championship. Miami lost their chance when they lost to Georgia Tech. I'm sorry. At least as of this writing, North Carolina and Florida State will meet each other in the ACC championship. But I say all that to say this. Georgia is a team to be reckoned with. Coach Smart said, force equals mass times acceleration. The mass, the strength, the physicality that is present, along with the speed and the agility of their receivers and their running backs and their defensive backs, I don't really see anybody beating this team. All in all, you still got to come ready. They still got to come ready. They still got to handle business. Yes, they won these games. They're 5-0. I'm sorry, they're 6-0. But the challenge ahead is Vanderbilt. So that's all for today's episode, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be back again soon. And until then, y'all have a great Monday. God bless you. Love.